Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. Let me first introduce myself. I'm Siddharth, Product Specialist IT Security Solutions at Manage Engine, and I will be the presenter for today's webinar. And our webinar, of course, is on log management best practices for SIEM. I hope my voice is audible and you have no issues in viewing my shared screen. So if you have any difficulties, please let us know right away on the live chat. I hope everything is okay. So in today's webinar, we will be looking at the importance of log management to your security and how SIEM can really make a huge difference in securing your organization's network. Our agenda for today includes a quick look at today's IT security space, followed by what log management and SIEM really is, and how it can help you secure your network. We will have a detailed look at the log management best practices for SIEM, starting with log collection, followed by log analysis and log archiving. And then we will look at the role of log management in threat mitigation, which would of course cover the real-time event correlation and the critical feature of alerting. Let me spend a minute to introduce to you of our company. Manage Engine is a division of Zoho Corporation that provides you awesome IT pros with the tools you need to meet your organization's IT management and support requirements. We have product suites that comprehensively cover all your IT management requirements, all your infrastructure from your networks to servers to applications to desktops, and so much more. 3 out of every 5 Fortune 500 companies rely on Manage Engine products. So there's a good chance that you might already be using a product of ours. So we really are on the same team with a common purpose, which is to ensure everything IT is running smoothly. With regards to today's webinar, the product that is concerned with us, with our topic, is our SIEM product, which is Event Log Analyzer, a cost-effective and powerful SIEM tool. At the end of the webinar, I'll give you a quick walkthrough, sort of like an overview of Event Log Analyzer and what value you can extract from our SIEM solution. And for today's webinar, we'll also be taking questions. So you may ask these questions at the end of each topic on the live chat, and we'll try to answer them right away. Or you may ask them at the end of the webinar. It's become really common in today's tech world to hear of security breaches. And you obviously know that businesses are going great lengths in securing their network. I can spend pretty much the entire duration of this webinar just showing you the several security attack and breach statistics. But the one thing which is the takeaway and what all this has taught us is that despite having all the best security systems in place, attacks and breaches still happen. This means that it is sort of impossible at this moment to prevent every single attack, prevent every single security incident, especially with preventive security solutions alone. I want you to ponder about what I just said and sort of keep this at the back of your mind and think of a solution to deal with this problem. And we will revisit this in the due course of this webinar. So let's get started without any further ado. And first up, let's see what SIEM really is. As you probably know, SIEM, or SIM as they say, stands for Security Information and Event Management. Very broadly speaking, this entails a real-time analysis of the events happening across your network. But more importantly than being bothered with a sort of textbook definition of what SIEM is, let us look at what it can do for you. SIEM can answer vital questions to a security administrator, and critical questions such as which users modified or cleared the security audit log, for which devices or groups are most alerts being generated, which user account has the highest number of misuse events, and so much more. Answers to such critical questions are of course a major concern for any security administrator. And where do you think you would go to find all these answers? These answers lie in the log data, of course. With that in mind, log management and SIEM sort of go hand in hand, meaning in order to monitor the security information and events across your network, you need to understand your log data. The first most important point that I want to convey, and you probably know this, is that logs are incredibly powerful and contain all the information a security administrator needs to understand what is going on in his or her network. Gartner predicted actually that there would be 6.4 billion connected devices by the end of last year, which is 2016, and over 20 billion connected devices by the year 2020. Now that's a massive number right there, almost incomprehensibly massive. So think about for a moment the challenges of dealing with logs from all these devices. And you know that log data can be massive even in a small organization. That's because even a single device could generate thousands of log messages every day. And obviously, in bigger organizations, log management can become a Herculean task. This is like the biggest problem for security administrators. And in a sense, you want to become the lord of the logs. And your log management and SIEM solution empowers you to achieve this. And this, of course, is for the bigger picture of tighter network security. Traditional methods of analyzing logs fall short when it comes to this, and that is where an automated log management software for SIEM comes into the picture. We are now going to be looking at the log management best practices for SIEM. And what that means is that first we're going to look at comprehensive log management, which entails collecting logs from the different log sources in your network, followed by an effective way of analyzing this log data. And then we look at archiving this log data. And then we will look at the second part of the webinar, which deals with using SIEM for threat mitigation, which will involve event correlation, real-time alerting, and of course, forensic analysis. So let's get started with the first best practice, which is comprehensive log collection. Log collection, of course, means getting the logs from your log sources into the SIEM solution, and of course, parsing these log messages. And what comprehensive log collection means is that you need to collect logs from devices irrespective of the log sources across your network, which could be your Windows servers, domain controllers, workstations, your Linux and Unix machines, all your network devices from routers, switches, firewalls, your IDS IPS systems, and then of course there are your critical business applications such as your web servers and databases, and you also have in-house applications as well. So that's a lot to digest right there. And here is where the problem arises. Obviously, these different devices and applications don't have the same logging standard. For instance, Windows devices have Windows event logs. Your Linux machines and network devices such as firewalls and routers, your IDS IPS systems as well, use the syslog standard. And with applications, you're again going to have a bunch of different applications, meaning a bunch of different log formats. But obviously, you want to be able to analyze logs from everything without leaving a single thing behind. Here is where your log management and SIEM solution empowers you to collect logs across different types of log sources, so meaning that it will collect and parse the log messages irrespective of the type of the log message. In addition to the commonly used devices and applications, your SIEM solution must empower you to pass custom log messages as well. And what I mean by custom log messages is that you know your organization's IT better than anyone else, and you know the requirements that you need. So say, for example, you have your own application for something like attendance management or payroll processing. You want to be able to analyze logs from those applications as well. In such cases, having what is called custom log parsing empowers you to extract fields that concern you from your log messages. And with a custom log parsing capability, your SIEM solution ensures that you can universally collect and parse logs that is in a human readable format. I also want you to note that there might be some cases, such as in your DMZs, where you might not be able to directly collect the logs from your devices unless your log management tool provides you with an agent-based mechanism for log collection. So this is the first log management best practice, which is to ensure that no application gets left behind and you are able to process logs from anything and everything in your organization's network. So now at this point, you have collected logs from your different log sources in your network. But now that you have them, what are you planning to do with them? So you want to be able to extract some sort of value out of the collected logs, because logs, after all, are very powerful and contain all the information you need to understand what is going on in your network. This is where the real-time effective analysis of the logs and the reporting console of SIEM comes into the picture. Your log management and SIEM tool will neatly put all of the collected log data into a report, preferably in an intuitive graphical format, to make your life easier. So this gives you meaningful information, and by looking at this report at just the first glance, you have the information that you're looking for at your fingertips. Further, reporting is a huge blessing when it comes to compliance. Your organization might be complying with a compliance regulation such as PCI DSS, FISMA, or SOX. And with the reporting console of your SIEM tool, you can easily furnish compliance reports that ensure that you achieve these compliance mandates. Depending on the device or application, we are going to be concerned with tracking different things. What I mean is that, say I take a firewall, I'm going to be interested in having reports to track allowed traffic, deny connections, rule management, and so on. When it comes to, say, routers, I might be concerned with tracking its configuration changes, and say for my databases, I may be concerned with the DML and DDL changes, and a lot more than just these actually. The point is that clearly you will be tracking different sorts of events for different devices and applications. Let me show you, for example, the deep insights I can get out from the reporting console. So for instance, what you can see in this slide, right here I have a report for the top errors being faced on my IIS web server. Web servers are, of course, business critical applications, meaning that they are vital to keep any business running. So I'm pretty sure your organization itself probably hosts their website on maybe an IIS web server. So if I were an admin, I'd be concerned about my web server and would not only want to ensure that the web server usage is all right, but also ensure that my web server is secure. In this report right here, this is the top errors report being faced by the web server, where I can clearly get a picture of all the HTTP status and error codes being thrown up by my web server. At the first look, I can very easily say that we have a lot of 200 messages right here, which is all right. I have a bunch of errors like 304, 400 and so on, but those are a really small percentage of the total number of hits. So at this point, I'm not concerned about that. But I see that there is a high number of 502 errors. Almost 19.48% of the status codes in my web server are 502 errors. So in this way, by just looking at this report, at first glance, I clearly understand all the errors being faced when a user is using my web server. You can see that there are reports for other things as well, such as the top users, the top methods, the top pages being served, and so on. And you can also analyze the server's trend and the server's overview in this sense. In this way, having a comprehensive reporting tool gives you full control of any application. In this case, I showed you a web server, but the point is that I may perform a thorough audit of my web server or any other application for that matter using the reporting console. So that was with the reporting or the effective log analysis best practice for SIEM. The next best practice is log archiving. And log archiving means that your SIEM solution ought to archive the logs collected and whatever you process and store it at a server. Archiving log data is important for three reasons. Firstly, for reducing the hard disk space usage. Secondly, for ensuring that you're meeting your compliance mandates. And thirdly, and most importantly in my opinion, for performing a forensic analysis and understanding the performance and usage statistics. Now, just archiving isn't going to be enough. You want to ensure that your archive log data, your archive log files if you will, are secure and not tampered with. This is achieved by encryption of the files and hashing mechanisms and of course timestamping. Timestamping ensures that your log data in the archives are tamper-proof. With the encryption of the archive files, you can be rest assured that the archive log data is secured for any compliance or internal audit as well as for the forensic analysis if needed in the future. Now I said that log archival is an important aspect for ensuring compliance mandates, and your organization definitely has compliance requirements such as maybe PCI DSS or FISMA or SOX, and compliance mandates expect the logs to be archived for a required time interval. In addition to just staying compliant, however, that's really important, but the real value add of log archival is in case you have a security incident and you want to perform a forensic analysis to get a clear picture of what just happened. All you need to do in this case is load the archived log data back into the database and perform the analysis. So at this point, we'll take a break for a minute, and if you have any questions, do let us know on the live chat and we'll answer them right away. And if you're good to go and move on to the next section, let us know using the hand raise option. Just to remind you, we're taking a break for a minute here to answer any questions that you have on the topics covered so far. And if you don't have any questions at this point, you can just let us know using the hand raise option. So far, we looked at 3 log management best practices, starting with comprehensive log collection, effective log analysis, and of course, secure log archiving. While Gartner noted that compliance was the primary driver for organizations to deploy SIEM solutions, increasingly the deployments are being driven by threat mitigation capabilities. As a security administrator, your priority would be to mitigate security threats. So let's have a look at correlating events and being alerted in real time. When I say correlation, I mean correlating different events happening across your network and sort of building a relationship between these events. Now, many of these events by themselves might not be a cause for concern. For example, just a failed logon might well be a routine event, or say even a firewall rule change might well be a routine event. But sometimes, when some of these events happen together, they may well be a massive red flag that requires your immediate attention. Now, given the massive size of logs that you deal with, you are going to have several seemingly abnormal individual events on a daily basis, which actually are not of any security concern. Obviously, you can't waste several precious hours in a day looking at each of these events that don't really concern you. So manually scanning is obviously out of the question. The correlation engine of your SIEM tool helps you in instantly identifying anomalous behavior which concerns your network security. And in this way, your SIEM solution can analyze a suspicious chain of events and sort of detecting the attack pattern at an early stage, meaning you can proactively deal with these security threats. Let us look at a simple use case to illustrate the feature of correlation. This right here on the slide is how typically password attacks occur. The attacker tries to create a backdoor account in order to carry out the attack. So you can see the first circle says repeated logon failures on a critical resource. Now, logon failures in general are of course a concern for an IT administrator, and repeated logon failures are all the more a concern. But just that bunch of events alone might not make sense to give you an idea of what's happening. And now there's the next circle which says logon success on the critical resource. Again, just a log on success doesn't really make sense for an IT administrator, so that could well be a routine event. Privileged user account creation, of course, is another important thing that an IT administrator would want to track, but by itself is not going to make much sense. But say all these events happen together within a short time interval. You have a bunch of repeated logon failures followed by the logon success on the critical resource, followed by a privileged user account creation. This could mean that someone has created a backdoor account and is trying to attack your network. In such a case, you won't be able to analyze all this happening in real time. You can't keep tracking all the repeated logon failures and keep checking whether they became successes, whether there was a privileged user account created. That would be a big headache. So when a bunch of these events happen like this together, you want to be getting a sort of real-time notification that, hey, this happened followed by this, followed by this. Like, hey, this bunch of events have happened and it's suspicious. And that brings me to my next slide. We first spoke about some correlation rules, but the end goal that you're looking for is that you want to be alerted in real time that, hey, this thing happened followed by this thing, and this might happen in your network. And then once you get the alert, you can look into what happened and take the necessary reactive steps to handle the security incident. Correlation by itself isn't of much use unless you are going to be alerted when a security event of interest happens. And that, in my opinion, is the fundamental purpose of what we are trying to achieve with log management and SIEM. We want real-time alerts at the end of it all. Your SIEM solution ought to provide you with a bunch of predefined alerts, sort of like the most commonly occurring events that any IT administrator would want real-time notifications for. But of course, you know your organization's IT infrastructure better than us, better than anyone else. So you must also have the option to create or customize the alert criteria so that you can get the alerts for the events that concern you. In addition to having the option of getting the alerts via email, it is a must to have the SMS option for alerts because this will give you real-time notifications even when you're on the go. And wouldn't it be great if you could also run a program or a script, if you will, whenever the alert criteria is met? This will ensure that you react immediately upon the alert being triggered. Now, at the start of the webinar, I mentioned that not all security attacks can be prevented. Despite having the state-of-the-art network security systems and practices in place, security attacks still happen. Now, we can minimize the chances of this happening with the threat intelligence and real-time alert notifications. But sometimes, despite having cutting-edge intrusion detection systems, cutting-edge firewalls, attacks still can happen. You know now you have all the logs in your solution. So the feature of what we call log search enables you to drill down millions of log messages to just a few that you are looking for in a given scenario. So in this simple scenario right here, you can see a typical pattern of a web server attack where an unknown IP tries to access your web server in order to run some sort of malicious script. Now, if the source is not malicious, your firewall is going to allow this traffic. And if for whatever reason the IDS couldn't detect the attack or you missed the alert, the unknown IP can potentially run the script on your web server. Now, in this case, for each of the stages of this attack, you're going to have log messages from all the devices. So all these log messages have been collected in real time to your SIEM solution. So you're immediately empowered to go and look like, hey, this thing happened in my firewall at this time. Say the traffic was allowed by the firewall. And then you can also see the log for the IDS system detecting the unknown IP's access to your web server. You can also see the log, say, for the request to run a particular script on the web server. And in this way, you can quickly understand whether this was indeed an attack or whether it was just a case of false positive. And also, if the attack has already taken place, you can quickly take steps to minimize the damage caused by the attack. Or, even in the worst case where it's too late and the damage is done, you can very much create a forensic audit to sort of understand what happened during the attack and take preventive steps so that this doesn't happen again in the future. So those were the three log management best practices with regards to threat mitigation, starting with real-time event correlation, being alerted in real time when anything goes wrong or anything suspicious happens in your network. And the third is forensic analysis that enables you to understand what just happened in your network. Again, at this point, we'll be taking a break for a minute to answer any questions that you have with these features. You can ask them right away on the live chat and we'll answer them. And in case you're done and you have no queries, you can let us know using the hand raise option. I hope at this point that you had no issues, and in case you had any concerns that they were resolved on the live chat. I'm going to give you now a quick walkthrough of our SIEM offering, which is Event Log Analyzer, and sort of show you what's what in our product. So this is our home tab in our product, and at first look you can see the dashboard views, which gives an immediate look as to an overview of what's happened in your network, such as the log trend, all events, the important events, the security events, the event category, and also you can view the alerts that were triggered. Now the first log management best practice was of course comprehensive log collection. So Event Log Analyzer can collect logs from your Windows devices such as your workstations, your servers, your domain controllers, your Linux and Unix devices, and your other syslog devices like your firewalls, routers, IDS, IPS systems, basically all your network devices, and logs from your applications as well. So in addition to providing the log collection mechanism for your business critical applications such as your web servers and databases, we also provide the custom log parsing feature in case you want to parse log messages of any in-house application as well. The second best practice that we saw was the effective log analysis. So for that, we have a comprehensive reporting console that provides over 600 predefined reports. So here you can see we have reports for the Windows environment, for your Unix systems, your applications which include databases and web servers. We have threat solutions like Symantec. We have support for vendor-specific devices such as sonic wall devices, your network devices such as your firewalls, routers, and switches, your vulnerability scanners, and so much more. So we provide this out-of-the-box support to ensure that your configuration and log analysis is really simplified. So for instance, if you take databases, we have out-of-the-box reports for MS SQL and Oracle databases. And if you take web servers, we've got out-of-the-box reports for your IIS and Apache web servers. And of course, addition to all of this, like I said, we have the custom log parsing feature, which enables you to read log data in any human readable format. And the third log management best practice, of course, is the log archival. So we do the secure log archival with the hashing mechanism, the timestamping, and encryption of the log files. And with the reporting section, we also provide the compliance reports. So you can see that here we've neatly put down all the reports that you need for a particular compliance mandate. So if you take something like FISMA, you've got reports for the object accesses, the logons, the security assessment, the user accesses, the configuration management, and so on. In addition to providing these compliance reports out of the box, you also have the option to add or modify the compliance reports in order to meet the ever continuously changing compliance regulations. And then we have the log management best practices with regards to threat mitigation. So the first thing that we saw was real-time event correlation. So with regards to that, we provide over 70 correlation rules on file management, group management, your audit policy, your authorization, and so on. So you can very easily customize or build your own correlation rules, taking rules from these categories. And of course, once you have done correlation, the final thing that you're looking for is real-time alerts. So what we do is we allow you to build what we call alert profiles, which basically is a particular alert criteria for which you will be getting a real-time notification upon the criteria being met. Like I mentioned, we have the notification in the form of email or SMS, and also running a program upon the alert criteria being triggered in order to take an immediate reactive step. And again, with defining the alert criteria, we have a bunch of predefined alerts. So you can see you have alert types for the following categories like Windows, Unix, your applications, and so on, and so many predefined alerts for each category. In addition to all this that makes your life easier, we also have the custom alert criteria, meaning you can set up a particular criteria that you are concerned with in your environment, and you'll be getting the real-time notification upon that criteria being triggered. And finally, we have the log search feature, which is a really powerful search engine built on Elasticsearch that allows you to very easily drill down from millions and millions of logs to just 10 to 20 logs that concern you. I can even give you a quick demonstration of how this would work. So if I choose a time interval for my log search and I choose, say, the log type as Windows event log data, I have almost 300,000 logs in my console. So obviously all these messages don't make sense to me if I have to read through each and every one of them. What I can do is build a search query so that I can drill down to the logs that I'm looking for a particular incident. With Event Log Analyzer, you have the much more efficient click-based search feature where I can just click on a field in the log message, such as username, and easily pick a username for which I want to carry out the log search. So if I choose a particular username like guest, I immediately get all the log messages that I have for the username guest. I can use the further fields in the log message, such as the event ID, such as the severity, and the type of log message in order to further reduce this number. So in just one click, I was able to get the log messages down from 300,000 to just 339. So maybe in a couple of clicks, I can reduce this to just 5 to 10 log messages. So you can imagine how in the context of conducting forensic analysis that you can instantly get the logs that you're looking for. You might have millions of log messages in your organization, and in case something happens, some security incident that requires investigation, you can just, with 2-3 clicks, you immediately have a clear picture of the incident that just happened. So I want you to also check out Event Log Analyzer. It's a free download with a 30-day free trial and really easy to set up and configure. So a real quick download, and then you can launch the product in your web server or on your web browser and start collecting logs right away. So thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar. Do give us your feedback at the end and let us know if you would like webinars on any particular topic to be hosted in the future. And now we are available on the live chat to answer your questions. So if you have any questions with today's webinar, you can ping us on the live chat right away and we'll answer your queries. And further, if you want any product related assistance or a product demo or a POC, you can of course contact our support team, which is support@eventloganizer.com. Once again, thank you so much for joining us and have a nice day.